Welcome to the Best Friend Weekend podcast. You here with Aldo Nice and the homie Rod Smooth.
I'm the homie Rod Smooth.
Is that who you are?
I am.
Okay, well that's good.
In the flesh.
Well, this actual episode of the Best Friend Weekend podcast was supposed to air sometime around the end of 2016?
January, probably. Probably was right around the beginning of 2017.
That sounds like a good time to drop it. We were kicking around an idea for this particular episode on our top 10 list of 2016 of people who just kind of made the biggest impact across the board in 2016. And I mean, it would have been better if we'd have dropped it then, but hey, things happen.
Indeed. Color people time is what I call it.
I mean, I don't know if we color people time or if it's just bad timing with bad other things going on, but we're in there now. You get to get the list, but what I think is extra funny about it now is that in the 4 months since 2017, it's been rocking. Some of these names are obsolete. Like, who are they? Where are they now? It's a list of people who aren't even in the game anymore.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not as versed on what I was gonna say because it was fresh. It was fresh earlier this year, but whatever, you know. I still have some youth left in me, so I'll be able to remember some of the things.
I mean, and I think that's fair enough. I mean, just if we just run down the line, and I think that we probably got some commonalities. Full disclosure, I haven't seen his list. He hasn't seen mine. Maybe I did see it back in the gap.
That might be a lie. I think we did send them to each other, but I don't remember.
Do you remember who's on my list?
Not really, but I remember. I kind of saw last night. We have some of the same people.
Okay, well, I'm with it then. Let's get right in it. You can hop in at your number 10, your honorable mention, wherever you want to start.
Coming in at honorable mention for me is first, let me preface what I'm gonna say. So, there's a reason and a rhyme and reason to why
both of
you
those
pick
at the same time.
who you pick, and it's all opinions. But my honorable mention is Harambe. Harambe is my honorable mention because he was an internet sensation towards the end of the year, and it's funny because he didn't he died or he got shot. And I feel like a little bit of time passed, a month or two, and then somebody ran with it. Somebody went ham with Harambe, and it was funny. So that's why I'm going with Harambe for my honorable mention.
Well, there's two things at the place I work at the college. There's actually a huge mural of Harambe in one of the colleges. It's a real thing. So periodically, I'm thinking, what's the phrase they use? Dicks out for Harambe. I mean, I'm assuming that type of thing may go down. And there's also like this African student association like night, and they call it Harambe as well. So I just think that that's funny. I think I saw an episode of Family Guy where they were screaming Harambe, Harambe. Might not have been Family Guy. I don't really. Or it might have been The Simpsons. I don't know.
But he's honorable mention because I don't want to spend too much time on him. So,
but you mentioned him.
Rest in peace. And rest in peace to the subject.
He did not make any of my list. Harambe was not even up for consideration.
Well, that's why he's honorable mention. I think honorable mention is supposed to be a wild card.
I mean, for me, I would say my honorable mention would be Orlando Brown.
Okay.
He had a great last part of 2016. He was killing it every week. He was coming out with these different viral videos, and it was funny to me, but he still wasn't enough to make my list of 2016 because I feel like he didn't put enough work in 2016.
Well, that's a good segue because Orlando Brown is actually my number 10. And I definitely agree with you that he put together a good last part of the year. I think that he did enough. And you know what? You might hit me with a name later on that might knock Orlando Brown off my list. But as far as I'm concerned, the impact that he made at the end of the year was special. And I mean in both ways. It was special ed and special, in importance or lack thereof.
It was a little after my time, I think. I think he was after my Disney Channel or Nickelodeon, whatever station he was on, time to where I didn't appreciate him as a child star.
Yes, you did.
But I didn't.
You did, though.
What was Orlando Brown on?
Family Matters.
Oh, shit. But that's not... He wasn't a substantial enough piece.
No, but he was 3J.
He was the little guy who used to run with
Richie,
Steve.
who was, and
Richie
he looks. I've seen him on the internet recently, but Richie was a gay kid.
Richie had
he had a little mullet. And
Richie had a full head of hair that was
Richie had a Jerry curl at 5.
But he was a single mother. He was living with Carl Otis Winslow. Like, I mean, a cop was like, he was living with a cop in Harriet. You know what I mean?
So I didn't watch That's So Raven either. But I know Orlando Brown as 3J.
I just know he was like, I want to tickle it. I want to twist it. Put my finger over here and tickle that thing. Like,
Yeah,
Orlando Brown.
nasty.
Okay, I'm not going to, he's a number 10. Like this, another thing, this was supposed to probably be an hour-long podcast. We're going to drop our top 10 down to 30 minutes. So we're going to try to get you in the house in 30 minutes or so. So we're not going to spend too much time on him. My number 10, and this is going to kind of get a little weird in the words of Lawrence, one time for Rumble Williams.
By the way, this podcast brought to you by Lawrence Williams Answering Service. Anytime you find yourself on a long trip or just want to find someone to pointlessly talk to, give our friends over at Lawrence Williams Answering Service a call.
He will entertain you on the phone for a pretty good amount of time.
As long as you want.
I'm not going to put his phone number on here because I don't think he's given a waiver of such. But what I was about to say about this getting weird is I think we'll say some names that are going to be substantially higher on your list than they are on mine, or vice versa. So I don't want to give away like your number.
That's okay.
So maybe we should have talked about it, but my number 10 was Beyonce. My number 10 was Beyonce.
All right.
And I'm sure Lemonade dropped last year. I'm not sure about that, but I'm just going to say it like I'm sure it did.
It did.
I didn't watch any of the videos that accompanied it. I'm not a huge Beyonce fan. We will have another podcast coming up very soon called Girls Love Beyonce, and we're going to talk a little bit about that a little bit more. But I love women, so therefore I feel like I have to give them a shout out and throw Beyonce on the list, although I really have no strong opinions about Beyonce except for the fact that she is the leader of the Beehive, and that is interesting to me.
Yeah, Beyonce definitely had an impact. I will say, just a view into, I guess, further along into my list, Beyonce is substantially higher on my list. So, but I'm going to go ahead and give you my number. I think any list that Beyonce would be on, it'd be hard for me, just knowing her impact. I've seen a picture of Obama and Beyonce, and it said, the leader of the free world and Obama. So, girls love Beyonce, and as he said, we will be having an upcoming podcast about that. But
is Riri on your list?
Rihanna is not on my list. And that's good. I can. That means I can talk about Rihanna because she's not on my list. But that's I like Rihanna better than I like Beyonce. That's all that needs to be said. Number 9 on my list is Gucci Mane.
Oof.
The reason why Gucci Mane is number 9 on my list, and
because
the
we
reason
didn't
why
go to his concert yesterday that we were supposed to go to Gucci Mane on 420, actually, not yesterday.
420, we had tickets to go see Gucci Mane, and we actually made a profit on those tickets and used that for 420 activities. So, anyway, Gucci Mane got out of jail and dropped at least 7 albums.
I thought you were about to say at least 70 pounds.
And dropped 70 pounds. And for some reason, he smiles a lot now.
And he had a clone.
I think he's might be cloned, but that's whatever. That's conspiracy. So Gucci Mane, my number coming in at number 9 for me.
Gucci was 7 for me. Gucci's I mean, we're around the same ideology there. I heard recently Gerard Carmichael say something about, when a guy proposes, the last thing that goes through his mind is, fuck it. I'm just going to do it. I think Gucci Mane had the absolute fucking moment when he was at that Hawks game and he proposed. He didn't get on one knee. He just stood up and held the ring down like at his waist, like here.
Honestly,
like I'm bird feeding you this ring.
Honestly, I don't want to lose my black card for saying this, but niggas struggle with etiquette. They do. And
he didn't learn etiquette while he was incarcerated.
And he has enough. I mean, it's how weird is it to like get on one knee? To like literally in public.
Get on one knee.
Do white people stuff. You
It's
know,
not white people stuff.
I mean, it is white people stuff.
That is traditional ways that people propose. They get on their knees. I think he had white pants on. Maybe that has something to do with it. And it was floor seats at the game, so maybe
Gucci Mane can afford another pair of white pants.
He's just got out of jail.
He's Gucci Mane.
Okay.
He can afford. He just dropped 7 albums. We just talked about that.
Didn't he sign Bryson Tiller?
I don't know what he did, but he's
if
rich.
He signed Bryson Tiller. I like
he
that.
Has
I
more,
like that.
He has enough money. I have 1 pair of white pants. I'm sure Gucci has
2?
An unlimited amount of white pants because he can just replace them.
I like Gucci. He smiles a lot too. His teeth are. I mean, he's kind of like It's like a little jab. Like the teeth, like the smile.
Mm-hmm.
Jab like to smile a lot too.
Goldless jab.
Like, so I like that. I'm with Gucci. I'm with Gucci there. I'm gonna hit one right now. Can I go?
You can
I go? Can I take me? Okay. So I'm just gonna pass on this one. The kind of the same way you did with Harambe. Kermit the Frog made my list at number 9.
Okay.
Kermit had an impactful 2016, right?
I think it's safe for me to say that Instagram is dictating a lot of our list.
This podcast is brought to you by Daquan, one of our favorite Instagram follows.
If you don't follow Daquan, then you just delete Instagram.
You should probably get rid of it. I like when people can collect a good amount of just different media from around the internet and put it in one place for us to consume it and laugh. And Daquan does that like few others.
Every single thing that he posts is funny.
And it's probably like 5 people, but we're just going to call him Daquan.
By the way, at Best Friend Weekend, Instagram, Facebook, pretty much everything, it's going to be at Best Friend Weekend. Even the website is bestfriendweekend.com. Luckily enough, no one ever thought to take that, so we got that.
So 3 things about Kermit last year that I'm just going to really touch on. The That's None of My Business with the Sips tea.
I kind of forgot about that.
Sips tea. Sips tea is Kermit. LeBron had the Sips tea hat on when they won the championship last year.
That is true.
Kermit also, there was this whole thing about him and Miss Piggy breaking up, and she was like on the internet. It was this whole little internet thing that a lot of people bought into. I wasn't on it big, but I knew it was a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing. And then Kermit ended the year with Bad Kermit, Good Kermit, with the hoodie and don't do it. Nah, nigga, do it.
Kermit definitely. I'm not reconsidering any of my picks, but Kermit definitely deserves to be mentioned.
Kermit had a big year,
so he would be my honorable mention.
Okay.
Along with my co-honorable mention, along with Harambe.
I did have a co-honorable mention that I didn't speak of, and that's Van Jones. I like Van Jones a lot on CNN. He's a voice for my people that I really like his perspective on things. I didn't really get into it, and like Raj said, I had a lot of opinions that could have went a lot differently if we had done this earlier in the year. But Van Jones is a steadying voice of the African American community, so I rock with Van Jones. He's an honorable mention for me as well. Where are you going next with your list, Raj?
I'm gonna go down to the next number.
That's chronological.
That would make the most sense. So I'm gonna go with my number 7.
We've already hit your 8?
We already hit you know what? Actually, I'm gonna go down to my number 8.
Okay.
So I actually skipped the number. So let's go with 8. My number 8 is Steve Harvey. Is Steve Harvey on your list?
Steve Harvey will never be on any list that I create of anything except clowns.
Okay, so Steve Harvey. The reason why Steve Harvey made my list is because Family Feud is a home staple now. People on the internet, everywhere watching Family Feud because of the things that he's... And Family Feud's gotten lewd, man. Yeah. Family Feud's not the same Family Feud. It's not made for children. In fact, I watched Family Feud with my parents one time, and I was very uncomfortable.
Was it uncomfortable?
Yeah, because they ask questions like, they'll be like, name the top 5 things that you want to have stuck in you. You know, like, I mean, literally, like
they wasn't doing that when Tim the Two-Man Taylor was the host.
No,
man.
they weren't. And then, but that first guy that was there, I forgot his name. It was back in the day. Like, he was wearing like brown double-breasted suits.
Yeah.
With the napkin ties.
He
used to kiss women in the mouth, man.
Shirt. Oh yeah, I do remember.
Yeah,
that.
him. I forgot his name. I have to look it up, but. Yeah, he used to kiss the women in the mouth. And he wasn't that funny. But Steve Harvey is killing it with facial expressions.
Yeah.
With
subtle type of... Steve Harvey's still not on my list.
He's killing it. And I think that he deserves to be mentioned. So, and number 8 on a list of a yearly importance...
That's pretty high.
That's pretty high. Because there's some people that didn't make it.
Well, because I mean, I've already done my 7 with Gucci Mane, right? And I've talked about Kermit and Beyonce. So I'm going to go to my 8. My number 8's probably definitely a lot higher on your list. I know it is. So we're just going to have to jump right into the fire. Well, let me do this. Let me throw out my 6 and come back to 8 because I'm pretty sure. You ready for it?
Go with it.
Okay. My number 8 was the Mamba. It was Kobe.
Okay.
It's Kobe. I ball like Kobe.
I ball like Kobe. This podcast brought to you by E-Vicious. Anytime you want to have sports talk in local barbershop, look for E-Vicious. I ball like Kobe.
Y'all know me at the Circle K.
I keep that pistol on me. Okay.
But Kobe, like, there was a generation of basketball that we all grew up on. Michael Jordan was a hero to me because he was like, a hero is the right word because it's like when the game is on the line and it's 2 seconds left, he's going to take the shot and he's never going to miss because that's all I remember and that's all the media made me remember. I'm sure Michael Jordan missed the shot, but he was just that guy. Mm-hmm. After the Jordan phasing out, Iverson giving him the crossover and it was like the next generation. The Mamba was the next one. I didn't like the Mamba. The Mamba was a snitch. He snitched on Shaq. Everybody liked Shaq. He snitched on Shaq to try to save his own little skin. I didn't like Kobe was a little bit of a snaky, weird. Like he had a lot of stuff. It got real weird with Kobe.
I'm really glad that you have that general sentiment about Kobe because I have never really been that much of a Kobe fan, and I think that I can make a very compelling argument as to he wasn't really that good. he was good, you know. And
some people would be mad about that.
Yeah, they would, and that's fine because it's my opinion. But
last 3 years of Kobe, to me, 2 or 3 years. Let's just say after everything, after he hit rock bottom, and everybody hated him, especially black women hated Kobe. I don't know. Something became endearing about Kobe. It was like he's the bad guy. He's the Mamba, and he's just gonna shoot the ball. And I'm like, I'm okay with a guy who's just gonna shoot the ball.
I'll be honest with you though. So I already told you about how I feel about Kobe a little bit. But Kobe's retirement trail was very, very admirable, and I do think that it deserves notice. I do think that Kobe was important to the game of basketball for whatever reason, and I'm actually just gonna go ahead and interject that Kobe is next on my list, but he shares it with someone. So I think the retirement of Kobe and the retirement of Tim Duncan, to me, they're just as important. They both, I think, if I'm not mistaken, have the same amount of rings. But I think that I'm serious. I think that Tim Duncan was just as impactful as Kobe. What a lot of people forget about Kobe is that the 3 championships that he won with Shaq won Finals MVP. We talked about Michael Jordan a little bit. In every single finals that Michael Jordan went to, all 6 of them, he won 6 Finals MVPs.
Shout out one time for LeBron. Same deal there.
So
Chauncey Billups too. Every final.
And I'll tell you this, I don't even understand what made, I do understand, but watching Tim Duncan's career, it was remarkable. And what was remarkable about it was that it was so vanilla. He was the most vanilla basketball player of all time, but yet he was so effective.
He's unoffensive too. He's unoffensive to so many people. He's just like, the Spurs were always that team that if my team doesn't win, I'm okay with the Spurs winning because nobody, whatever.
Yeah, small market team. It's not like the Patriots, you know. And they did have some of the same, like a very Patriot-like impact on the NBA, but
Popovich
you didn't mind.
woke.
You didn't mind them winning, you know?
Well, Popovich is woke and Belichick is Trump's boy. So I mean, the juxtaposition between Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant is very interesting that you said it that way. That you put them with one another but let's just be honest. I like Tim. Tim didn't shoot 50 shots in his last game.
Nah, because Tim is not that guy.
Kobe shot
who wants to be that
shots.
guy? Kobe wants to be that guy.
Kobe shot 50 shots.
By that guy, I mean capital THAT.
The thing about Kobe that I didn't appreciate it in its time, but as time has went on, barbershop arguments. We talk about barbershop arguments all the time.
Mm-hmm.
When you throw the number 81 out there, it means something to a lot of people, and it's a conversation like shut down sometimes. Like, but did your man score 81? 81 is a big thing. It's like, what, top 3 ever, 2 in NBA history, points in a game?
Did Tim Duncan ever miss the playoffs?
Did Tim Duncan score 81?
That doesn't matter.
Well, I just brought it into context.
Statistics.
That's exactly how it happens.
Statistics
you see how it just happened
matter.
to you? That's how it happens.
Yeah, but and then I asked you a question, and my statistic has to matter. Like, why does mine not matter?
Tim Duncan won the MVP in every finals.
No, I'm not saying he did.
Because Kawhi Leonard definitely won one.
Yeah, you're right. But people don't talk about Tim Duncan the same way that they talk about Kobe Bryant. Like, Kobe Bryant, for some reason, gets talked about in the same light as Jordan, and I don't think that it's anywhere close. I don't think it's close at all. The only thing that I think compares him and Jordan, or that's comparable for between him and Jordan, is that they look alike when they play basketball. Like, they have the same moves and whatnot. You know, and there's even a YouTube video that shows it. Huh?
He played for the Lakers.
And he played for the Lakers. He was the darling of the NBA. If you think about it, when Kobe first got to the NBA, and it was like Kobe time, the NBA really didn't have that many good basketball players there. Like, Kobe was, there was Shaq, but they really, like, Kobe was kind of by himself for a little while. And then that 2003 draft, with LeBron and Dwayne Wade and, Chris Bosh, and you had some stars that kind of came in the league and are emerging now.
Okay, stop. Time out. I get where you're going, but let's backtrack for a split second. You did say earlier this weekend that Michael Jordan,
I did say that,
was part of the most garbageous generation of superstars like Chris Mullin and
at one point in his career. Yes, at one point in his career. But when Jordan got to the NBA was real. There was, the bad boy Pistons and the Celtics and the Lakers. And, Jordan even had trouble making it past a certain point in the playoffs. But there was years where Kobe did not make the playoffs. Like, his team did not make the playoffs. And that bothers me. And the fact that he won one MVP. Whatever. This podcast isn't about Kobe.
Yeah. And we touched on him enough. Entirely too much time talking about Kobe and them, because we said under 30 minutes. We're already at about 23. And we're pushing the time. So let's just go ahead on and shoot to the next one. I'm going to give a short plug for my number 6. My number 6 was Nate Parker. I think he's a smug, arrogant little individual. I watched a 2020 or some kind of interview with Nate Parker. Wasn't a fan. Don't really like him as a person. From what I know of him. But I thought The Birth of a Nation was important, and I think that him putting that project together, directing it, having that out there, I think it was important. And I think The Birth of a Nation was a more important movie than a few others that I saw, of like the black movies of the last year and a half. And I'm going to go ahead and throw Moonlight in there as well. I'm going to throw Chiron. I'm going to throw Moonlight, and I'm going to throw Straight Outta Compton in there over the last year or so, 2 years. And just kind of say that Birth of a Nation was maybe my favorite of those, even though I'm not always a huge fan of like the antebellum slavery age black movie. But I thought it was an important flick, and I put Nate Parker in there for that reason. I have other reasons in my head with that, but
that's great. And I don't know the gentleman, and I kind of based my I didn't base mine on any certain importance to any certain race or demographic. I just kind of tried to stay in the middle with it, but I understand the importance of
It's symbolism.
Exactly. So I'm gonna go and give you my 6. And first, I want to say congratulations. This podcast brought to you by. This podcast is actually going to be brought to you by Post Malone. Congratulations. Goes out to Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay.
And the only thing that I have to say about Leonardo DiCaprio, because everyone's familiar with Leonardo DiCaprio, is congratulations for winning your first Emmy.
Shout out Leo.
That's all I have to say about him. So that's important. Should have won one. And in my opinion, what's that movie on Netflix that we like so much?
You get through Netflix movies?
Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay, yeah.
I don't understand how that was a great movie. But anyway,
they said Inception was
Titanic.
The best ever.
What?
I've heard Inception.
It was what?
They said it's like the best videography. Like
Inception was great too. Yeah. Should have won a bunch.
Shout out to her.
I'm done with it.
Okay, so we had our top 5s. I'm just gonna let you know my top 5s consist of 2 rapper types, 2 athlete types, and a politician. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know where you're at with your top 5. Is it
pretty similar?
Pretty similar. I'll hop in at number 5. My favorite rapper, my favorite freshman of last year, Chance the Rapper. Mm-hmm. Chance the Rapper at number 5. Chance the Rapper had a big year. Now, he had a big year for how he was moving the medium, how he was moving music online without actually being signed and just kind of quasi-associated with people. But the biggest thing for me was that Coloring Book was, gosh. It was a sensational album, and I feel like he carried the wave of that throughout the year to be kind of like in this lane of, I'm kind of straddling in some gospel sounding music with rap, but I'm not hesitant to say whatever I want to say, but it's cool, kind of riding that way. Big fan of Chance the Rapper last year. He came in at number 5.
It's kind of hard not to like Chance the Rapper. Unfortunately, he's not on my list
at all.
He should be, but he's not. Because you know what, he shouldn't be, because it's my list. So coming in at number 5 for me, and I'm gonna actually stay. I'm gonna revert back to some of the same principles of my number 7. I'm gonna go with Peyton Manning. To ride off into the sunset with a Super Bowl. What's better than that?
The Book of Manning.
What's better than that?
It's a great way. It's a great fairy tale. He had the John Elway ending. I agree.
Literally, he's on his retirement trail. Yeah, Kobe scored 62 points in his last game, but who cares? He didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl in his last game, and now he's retired. That's enough. That's
so
enough
would
to
Jerome
be on the
Bettis have been on your list a few years back?
Jerome Bettis didn't play quarterback. So maybe not. Maybe, but maybe not. So that's my rationale.
Okay, I'm with it. Peyton, Louisiana guy. We like Peyton. I like Peyton, everybody. Well, football-wise, I like Peyton, so let's just leave it at that. My number 4, athlete who doesn't get talked about a lot, but in those every 4 years, you have to talk about him because he's the greatest to ever do it, and that's Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt was number 4 on my list because, I mean, I kind of look at like when you put him next to Michael Phelps and we talk about the greatest Olympian ever, my opinion on this is just a few things.
America.
If Usain Bolt was allowed to run forward for 50 meters, then run forward for 100 meters, then run forward for 125 meters, and then run backwards for 100 meters, and then run sideways for 100 meters, I think he can win as many gold medals as Michael Phelps. Because in essence, that's what Michael Phelps does. He swims forward, he swims backwards, he swims to the side. He does different little swimming motions, and he's great. But Usain Bolt is that guy, and he's the fastest human being. And he ran like 9.5 something one year. I mean, he went back, he defended titles, he ran fast this year, and then he was over there dancing in clubs on people.
I think you pretty much killed it, man. I think that I've never heard that logic, but that is great. That is great logic. The fact that Usain Bolt didn't have as many opportunities for gold medals or as many opportunities as Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
I think that's a great argument.
We're going to crawl.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
We're going to skip 25 minutes. Yeah. Anyway, Usain's that guy.
So
he does the Brandon Cooks celebration too. Shout out Brandon Cooks. This podcast is brought to you by Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis. See you later, Brandon Cooks. That is all.
I'm gonna go ahead and give you my number. I think we're on number 4. And you actually, this young lady was a little lower on your list, but I think that Beyonce's Lemonade. And look, I don't really like Beyonce that much. I think that she can sing, and her music it is what it is. It's just very, very feminine. It's made for women, but Lemonade was impactful. It was great for women. So that's why it's on my list solo. And, I feel like Pharrell named his CD Girl. Like, women are definitely making, like, an impact. Bigger impact than they used to make. I don't know if more
women used to didn't do
nothing. They're empowered. So shout out to all women, and shout out to Beyonce for making number 4 in my list.
Group in the world, women.
This podcast brought to you by women.
All right, top 3 action. The 3 most important people in 2016, man. I went number 3, which I think was. You're probably gonna give away my number 1. I'm probably gonna give away yours. My number 3 was Donald Trump. It's not too much to say that hasn't already been said. He finessed a country. He ran off on the plug twice.
Let's not forget that Donald Trump is our president.
President Trump.
Like, right now. Like, that
grabbed America by its
that seemed
YSSUP.
Like something that was unfathomable. That seemed like that was something that would never happen, right? I mean, Donald Trump president, yeah, right. But it happened.
Listen, what I'm going to say is, I'm pro-black. I don't pick cotton out of aspirin bottle. But had Donald Trump not been the president, and he was like, Aldo, come to Mar-a-Lago. We're going to wild out this weekend. We're going to drink. We're going to cut up. We're going to grab them. I'm hanging with Donald Trump. If Donald Trump's in a bar and he says, Al, come over here, I'm buying shots, hanging with Donald Trump. Donald Trump seems like he's fun. I just don't need him to be my president.
Well, it is what it is, and he is. And you got to move forward.
That's it. That's all I got to say about Donald Trump, man.
And funny enough, I'm actually going to give you my number 3. I guess it's a counter punch here, if you will. My number 3 is Barack Obama.
It's the punching counter punch.
That's definitely my counter punch. Barack Obama was graceful on his farewell tour, a la Kobe, But I enjoyed the hell out of him, just watching him gracefully leave the presidency. It was a beautiful thing. So, and he definitely made an impact for us, for us as black people. I think he opened a lot of doors, and maybe even opened a lot of eyes and all of that jazz. So, thanks, Barack Obama, for your 8 years. Now we'll deal with our guy in there now, with your number 3.
I'm not going to add too much to that, except for the fact that, Barack, one of the best to ever do it, right? 2008 changed the game like it has never been changed before. We like Barack. That's that guy. Number 2, LeBron James. LeBron James. LeBron James. LeBron James.
I want to tell you that we actually share number 2.
Number 2.
LeBron James is my number. You went back to Cleveland and won a championship, right?
What's cool about Cleveland?
Johnny Manziel.
What's cool? What's so cool about Cleveland? You don't hear everybody saying, "I want to go on vacation to Cleveland." What's so cool about Cleveland?
Cleveland might be cool.
Joakim Noah says it's not, so I'm inclined to.
But it might not be cool. I've never been there, nor do I have any desire to just take a trip to Cleveland. But I may be missing out.
Joakim Noah's cool with Lenny Cook, or he at least dapped him and remembered him.
Well, congratulations to LeBron James for winning a championship for his hometown.
He's Jason Pitts. He brought the city a championship. You don't know who Jason Pitts is, which is even so much more funny. But he's Jason Pitts. He brought the city a championship. Yeah, LeBron he did his thing. It's LBJ. We don't have to go, we can probably by the end of the year, we'll probably have about 8 to 10. You'll understand my love affair for the way LeBron James carries himself and plays basketball throughout subsequent podcasts. LeBron James is my guy. 2016 was peak LeBron. Well, I could maybe argue that 2015 was peak LeBron, but he led the finals in every statistical category. I mean, the block. Oh my God, it's LeBron James. LeBron James. So we're at number 1. I think.
If you want my number 1 first.
This podcast is brought to you by everybody who was awesome while wearing number 1. Cam Newton 2 years ago. Penny Hardaway in his prime. Warren Moon. All of these number 1s brought us to the point where we're at number 1. Big shot, Chauncey Billups.
So, I don't think that there's any. If we're realistically putting a list together, and we talked about this a little bit already, but there's no way to me, no way, outside of emotions, that Donald Trump's not your number 1. That he has to be. And you already touched on it. The way that he finessed the country, it's magic, man. It's literally magic. You saw everybody. That's what you saw. You saw everybody hate Trump, but he still won. How? You saw it. Because you didn't see the people that love Trump. You didn't see it. And you did. There was a few people out there, but you saw way more people. It just seemed like it was unrealistic for Trump to actually win the presidency. Like, it just was something that was impossible. And impossible is nothing. How about that? Shout out LeBron. So that's all I have to say about that. I think that it's a no-brainer. I started my list with Donald Trump. It was, okay, Donald Trump's number 1, and then I'll figure out the rest of my list.
Got you.
So,
with that being said, Donald Trump obviously was number 3 for me. He wasn't number 1. I saw the impact. He just wasn't that much of an impact on me as a day-to-day, and I just was kind of, yeah, man, I have prejudice.
Well, he wasn't an impact on me per se either. This was an impact on 2016.
Okay. Talking in my cultural circle that I like to run in, my number 1 was just different parameters for me. And my number 1 was Donald Glover. Do we call him Donald Glover? We have to call him Donald Glover because that's what he prefers to be called now. I don't know the names of Grammys, Emmys, and Tonys and whatever awards, but I know he won one of them, and he gave a shout out to the Migos. Atlanta was probably my favorite show. With the night of was very high up there for me too. Atlanta was like one of my favorite shows in 2016, and the fact that he produced it with him and his homies, and they just did it at a house that they rented, and was like, hey, give me this money, I'm gonna rent a house in Atlanta, and we just gonna shoot it and write it and do everything. Craziness, because it was a great show. He backdoored by just dropping an album just to do it. I was a huge fan of the Childish Gambino becoming Donald Glover 2016 year. And that's where my list ended with. I mean, I had a lot of names bubbling around just at the surface. And when I put it in order of who I think had the best year, for me it was Donald Glover. But I mean, I could see Donald Trump being a bigger picture number 1. But FDT, in the words of Nipsey Hussle and whomever else made that song, YG, I think. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Donald Glover. Yeah, Atlanta was my favorite show too. But Donald Glover didn't make my list, nor did you remind me of it. So, congratulations to Donald Glover and all of his success. But his album sucks to me. That is the weirdest music in the world. I'm so sorry. I cannot make with this. And let me just let y'all know that we will be talking about music a lot in our podcast going forward. And one topic that will come up is woke music, versus the rest of the stuff out there.
Mumble rap.
And I just have to say that Donald Glover's or Childish Gambino's most recent album, I forgot the name of it, is unlistenable to.
But it's not because the internet
had some decent songs on it. It had some great songs on it. It had some really good songs on it. But the ones that you don't listen, like you have those songs on the albums that's just like, I don't really listen to those. But I like 3005. But
3005 was the jam.
The other ones are kind of just, and then, but I'm touching on this last one. I can't think of the name of it, but I know it's got a blue album cover. And
Awaken My Love.
Awaken My Love. That album, to me, should not have been on iTunes. It should have been free. Like it should have been something on thatpiff.com. I have a choice, but it was, you look at the top charts, and of course, Donald Glover's having this really impactful year, right? Yeah, and I agree with you on that. And I think that he literally got to the top of the game. But that doesn't mean that you make good music.
Who said his music was good?
No, I'm just saying, like, America said that.
I just said he dropped an album.
No, I know. America said that his music was
that
great.
That Redbone song was okay.
Redbone, yeah, okay, cool. You make an album with one good song.
Like two.
That doesn't make it a good.
There's the other songs.
I didn't listen to none of that. The Weeknd's album was way better. There's a whole bunch of albums that came out this.
Was that Starboy?
Starboy was way better, Starboy and it was awesome. Like a slow R&B, and I wasn't slow, but like same.
Yeah, he didn't make a TV show.
I don't even know what genre Childish Gambino's music is. Like, what is that?
I don't know.
Because it's not rap.
Hey, listen. Another conversation for another time. We about to wrap. We said 30. We got him a little bit over 40.
That's cool.
Welcome to the Best Friend Weekend podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of getting to know a little bit of our opinions of 2016, and you'll be hearing a lot from us in 2017.
Shout out 2017. This podcast brought to you by 2017.
Kind of like 2020, the TV show, but -3. PEMDAS. That's how we come in.
So this is going to conclude our podcast. We don't have any sayings yet, but maybe stay classy. Shout out Ron Burgundy. So stay classy, my friends.
Yeah.